Tom Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Travel Ministry here. We're so glad you're able to join in with us today. We have Mark Ye over on Facebook and Zoom chat, monitoring both of that. Jamie Armstrong, as you may see here in a minute, is trying to get our Roving Reporter Award today. He's joining us later from Athens, or at least we hope he's going to be joining us later from Athens. We've had some connectivity problems there, and we're still working on those. So if you see strange happenings in your small window view up there, if you're seeing everybody, you may see Athens, Mars Hill pop in and out up there as we try to get things happening over there. So they're working on that. So we're gonna give everybody just a couple of minutes to join in here as we see people starting to come on board and online with us. Once again, your mics, if you've not done this before, you'll find are muted. If you'll type into the chat role or the messenger role on Facebook, you'll be able to get those questions to Mark and Ryan and Shelby, and they will pop in and be able to help us out with that by getting those questions over to me, and then I will try to answer them. So hope that you're all doing well. Know that you're all praying for our friends down in Louisiana and all that's happening there. We keep them in prayers and hope that folks will be okay, and that we will all, I'm sure, be anxiously awaiting to hear how we can help and send them the resources and supplies that they're going to need in recovery from this hurricane that's just passed through. So once again, thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate it. Really excited that you've all gotten the opportunity to join us. We are a little bit earlier, so I've got a feeling it's sort of like when the time changes at church on Sunday morning. You know, how many of you have had that to happen? You're at church, time has moved forward 1 hour, and suddenly people start showing up and service is finished, and they're just all shocked because they forgot to set their clocks forward. So we'll have some of that. I always like it better in the reverse, when it falls backwards, and knowing people show up at church and they're an hour early, so you can tell them to go to Sunday school, those folks who never go to Sunday school. So I always get a kick out of that. But it just happens time and time. So this webinar is actually an hour earlier than normal. We did that to accommodate Jamie there in Athens and the schedule that they're trying to hold to there. So we hope that as many people as possible are here, and that everybody else who pops in late will be able to watch the archive version that we're recording. So let's go ahead and get started as we launch this morning. I'm going to bring you up to date on a couple of our fam trips. Actually, one of our fam trips is going on right now. Everyone who signed up on the Greece tour is actually in Greece. So that one's passed, but we've got one coming up you can still sign up for. It's the Captivating Rhine. You can see there, Shelby has shared the slide with you to tell you a little bit about the trip. It starts October the 27th. It's going to be a great cruise. We have just a couple of cabins left. So don't wait on this one, because once they're all gone, they are all gone. That's like a Yogi Berra quote, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. Once they're gone, they're all gone. So don't wait to sign up for that one. We got a few cabins left on that one, seriously. Then we have the Norwegian Jade special. Once again, going back to Greece and the Greek Isles. It's a great bargain at that on $22.98. That includes your airfare, your gratuities, and so many other things on board the ship that are not normally included.
So
okay, I thought I had somebody talking to me there. So take advantage of this one, that Norwegian Jade. That's going to be our last FAM of 2021. They're coming to an end. 2022 is going to start out with a bang, because we're going back to the Holy Land in January the 10th. We've got 2 Holy Land FAMs, one starting on the 10th for anyone who wants to go with us, and then we have a Catholic FAM starting on the 12th of January. So those two there, we've had great response so far to these. We've got close to 30 people already registered for those FAMs, and so hope that you will take this opportunity to share with friends, pastoral colleagues, people in your ministerial associations, folks who haven't been to the Holy Land. Say, here's a chance to do this. So encourage you to give them that opportunity at those prices, $16.98 and $15.98. Those are just, you can't hardly buy the airfare for that if you go out and just get that. So take advantage of that opportunity. Coming up immediately after our fam trips is our celebration cruise. This is our 13th annual celebration cruise. 13 years ago, it was started so that the EO family of travelers could have a chance to get together, to fellowship, to get to know each other. We've all traveled with each other in different places around the world. And so this was a chance for us all to come together somewhere and get together just for a big family reunion. And we've been providing great speakers, worship leaders, and fellowship opportunities on this cruise for many, many years. And I dare say that there could be some of you out there who are watching this morning who have been on every one of them. I can't say that. I was the very second cruise I ever took. The first cruise I took was a Journeys of Paul cruise, but the second cruise I ever took was on Celebration Cruise. And that was the second one, I believe, that I had the opportunity to go on. And so I didn't get to go on the very first one, the inaugural cruise. So this year's no different. We've got a great speaker coming. Bishop Sharma Lewis from Virginia will be speaking for us. Jeremy Hearn, an outstanding worship leader, will be leading our worship opportunities. The ports are marvelous, as you can see there. We have an overnight in Cartagena, which is a fascinating city. So this winter, when you need a break from the cold, the cabin fever that's starting to set in, although for some of us, cabin fever reached new levels a long, long time ago, didn't it? So go ahead and register for this cruise. We want you to go ahead and sign up. We've been assured that it's going to sail. Had a couple of people ask me that. So please go ahead and do that. I look forward to seeing you on board the ship and having some coffee together, maybe, or maybe a lunch or a dinner or something. So look forward to that. So we're going to have some more familiarization trips later in the webinar today. We can talk to our special guests. So I'm going to tell you now, go ahead, get your pen and your pencil handy. You're going to want to write down a couple of these, make notes as we get ready to look for that. So I'm trying to see, can somebody tell me if Jamie is available to us, or are we going to switch to the next one? Shelby, is Jamie there? Not.
He's not.
Not Jamie. We're going to switch. So we'll bring Jamie back on here in just a few minutes. Okay, don't go away if you're waiting with great anticipation of seeing Jamie Armstrong's smiling face from Athens. But I think he is having to go to plan B right now. So our plan B is that, we got somebody special with us today. Every organization has those people behind the scenes doing all the hard work to make things happen. I think of them as our Wizard of Oz folks. You remember that saying where that the wizard says to Dorothy and her traveling companions, pay no attention to the man behind the screen. Well, actually, he was the wizard in making everything happen, sort of like our creative services people who make this webinar happen, but are rarely seen or heard. There's a lot of folks who do that here at EO. Those are people who are negotiating with airlines, cruise lines, overseas operators, bus lines, guides. They are problem solving for guests and for you as hosts. They're taking care of finances on both sides, making sure that all the monies get moved where it's supposed to give people credits and stuff, and making sure the brochures for the trips get printed and mailed out. I mean, so that's just a whole list, a litany of things that happen behind the scenes, and that most of you don't get to see those folks. So today I had the pleasure of talking with Bethany Barbary. Bethany is one of our Wizard of Oz folks that many of you have not had the pleasure of meeting. Bethany spends her day planning trips. So she's got a really cool job, but don't ever play trivia with her if it includes because she's going to beat you, okay? I have not in these past 3 years named a place in the world that she didn't know something about and was able to give me more details than I ever dreamed possible. Same, don't play trivia about ships either, right, Bethany? Because she knows their names and she can tell you how many meeting rooms that they have and all that stuff. So Bethany, thanks for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to get to see everybody as well. And of course, thank you for that really great introduction.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, Bethany has been working and planning. We got a couple of 3 or 4 things that we've been planning on. One of them we're going to talk about a lot later because we're coming upon a very special year in EO and we're not ready to roll that out. That's just the little tease you're going to get for the teaser. But one of the things we found out for 2021 here in the summer and fall, going into winter, that FAMs work really, we get a lot of different opportunities. Normally we only had 2 or 3 different kinds of FAMs, it seemed like a year, but we're rolling out some new ones. And so Bethany, let's talk about some that you've been working on that we're going to be able to share with folks for 2022. Our first one, I guess the new one is coming up in February 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so our first one in February, we're looking forward to taking choir leaders and worship leaders. We're going to take them to Vienna and Salzburg and Prague so that you get to see these absolutely beautiful churches that you could perform in and do local concerts and some mission work and things and outreach while you're there. So we're planning to start that one around $2,199 a person. So all of you attend a church. Please reach out to your choir leaders, worship leaders, and encourage them to join us in this opportunity.
Yeah, and did you say that they would have an opportunity if they want to take their choirs back, and which is what we're hoping that they'll do, that they would have opportunity to perform in some of these places maybe, and we can introduce them to that?
Right. So during the FAM, we're going to take them to several of these famous churches along with seeing the cities. And it even includes that while they're in Salzburg, they're going to meet with one of the rectors of the big main cathedral there. And they'll get to talk to him about his experiences in that historic church and playing the organ and having choir groups come through there. So it's going to be a really special, unique opportunity.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool. I've actually already talked to a couple of musical people who have said that they want to reach out to some folks and begin to offer them this option. So I hope that everybody taking advantage of that. That sounds like it's a pretty neat deal. So then we've got something quite different from that, right? That's going to happen next October.
Yes. So actually not quite October. So the next one we were going to talk about is the Croatia Fam.
Oh, okay.
So we've sent many
list.
So we've sent many Catholic groups to Croatia and then on to Bosnia and Herzegovina so that they can go and see Medjugorje. But it is really becoming one of Forbes' top destinations. Lots of people are seeing Croatia on Instagram. So we want to give our guests and our hosts the opportunity to start traveling to this beautiful area and around the Adriatic. So the plan is to introduce it with this 6-day FAM tour in March. Right now, we're anticipating a price of about $20.99. This, along with the choir leader FAM, we hope to have up and running early next week that people can begin to register for it. So you're going to fly into Split, get to go through the countryside, and then also see Dubrovnik. Why we're doing this is we're planning for 2023 to have a Best of Croatia tour. So you would get 8 days. So basically you would do this along with getting to spend 2 days on the island of Hvar, which is, you see a lot of people vacationing and putting Instagram photos, and it's very, very popular. Croatia, of course, is known for great wine and seafood and, different historical sites around the cities. Dubrovnik itself has been featured in many movies and TV shows because, again, it looks like that ancient medieval walled city. So we're really excited to launch that, along with we are looking at doing a full Adriatic program that would also go through Slovenia and parts of Italy. And so you'd really get to see all of that Adriatic area.
Oh, that picture that's showing there on the slide behind you is simply marvelous. So not being familiar with Croatia, it's interior and coastline, right?
Right. It's mostly coastline. It's actually a really unique country. If you look at it on a map, And it mainly is coastline. And then there's a little bit of interior area as you get up into the north. They have some absolutely beautiful national parks too, and waterfalls. So you can do anything in Croatia, from boating, learning about the history. If you go further north along the coast, you've got lots of ancient Roman cities that were, all along the way there towards Italy and the border. And then, of course, you can go up into Slovenia and see the mountains and Lake Bled, which we're also featuring on our Western Mediterranean and Oberammergau cruise. So that'll be the first time we've gone there in quite a long time. And of course, Trieste is that beautiful northern Italian town.
So it won't tilt, but you can drop it down.
Okay. Well, I think that we're hearing Jamie from somewhere live right now. So hopefully he's going to be able to mute his mic. So just forgive the interruption there. As we said, we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty there. So we're continuing to work on that. So Croatia sounds marvelous, Bethany. I mean, that's on my list. I want to make that trip. I've been wanting to get there for a while.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of the teams here in the office, and it's like, okay, where are you interested in going? What's one of your bucket list places? And Croatia was popping up more and more. The next thing that was really popping up a lot that I want to talk to you guys is having more hiking tours. So we've been doing the Jesus Trail tour for probably about 5-6 years now, and doing it more as a specialty item for people, or doing it as an extension on some of our standard programs. And then we launched doing the Camino De Santiago. And again, we're getting more and more interest in these, and it's really, really unique experience to go on one of these walking pilgrimages and really spend time in nature and doing devotions along the way, and going and really feeling what some of the apostles and saints and what Jesus and the disciples would have experienced walking through these wilderness areas. So we've got 2 FAMs, and we're hoping to launch them in September. The first one is going to be a Camino walking tour in October. So it's going to be a short little, you're going to get really 2 full days of hiking on the Camino, along with getting to see Santiago de Compostela and getting to see Finisterre as well. Along with that, we're also going to do a Lisbon pre-tour so that you can see some more of Portugal, take you to places like Oviedo, going into Porto, which is one of the ports of call on some of our river cruises. So we're really excited about that. And then directly before that one, we're going to do a Jesus Trail walking tour. So thank you, Shelby. So you're going to get 2 full days of trekking up in the Galilee. And then you're going to do a full day walking to explore all of the sites in Jerusalem to, again, get a little taste of what these programs are like. Along with these 2 FAMs, to get you excited about these programs, throughout 2023 and 2023 and 2024, we are planning on offering 5 to 6 new walking tour programs and more active programs where you can do hiking. You have the option to do, kayaking, these different things, along with visiting biblical sites and historical sites. For those that want to do a little more, or maybe you've been before and you want to go back and just spend more time in just the beautiful natural sites.
That's great, Bethany. I know that you've had a team with a couple of our DTMs, Jim Frazier, Lynn Barton, have both been working on those out there for us and helping us design those. So they've been excited about that for a while. So we're excited to be able to begin to see this come together. So total of 5 or 6, you say, by the end of 24.
Right. So we're going to spread them out. The idea is that we can develop, a core group of EO guests and hosts that really like these programs, and they can become a community that does these trips, every couple years, and gathers together and spends this time in nature and in the Word, and really having this strong pilgrimage experience.
Great, thank you. Well, what else have you got there that you want to share, tease us a little bit about upcoming FAMs for 22?
Okay, the next one is one of my personal favorites. I've done half of it. So we're coming up with a Norway and Sweden Fam. It's going to be very similar to our really old, if anybody remembers, Scandinavia Smorgasbord program that we had many, many years ago. So to share a little bit about it is we're going to fly you into Oslo on the fam, and you're going to get the opportunity to explore Oslo and Bergen, as well as getting to go on the Flam Railway and then take a boat around and see the Norwegian fjords. Then you're going to go and travel through the countryside after some time for, free time for hiking and things up there. Travel through the countryside and down to Stockholm. And Stockholm is just gorgeous. The people are friendly, the food is lovely. You've got this amazing Gamlastan area that you can walk around and see all the history, learn about all the Nobel Peace Prize dinners. So it's going to be a really, really unique itinerary and something new for you guys to do. And again, along with that, we're planning a standard program, kind of bringing back that old itinerary and allowing people to see, the beauty of the Norwegian fjords and spend time in nature again, as well as seeing some of the historical cities like Bergen and Oslo and Sweden.
Great. Wesley and England, I hear, is a possibility too that might be happening for us.
Yes, so it has been many, 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 many years since we have done a FAM to get people excited about England and going and seeing some of the Wesley sites. So we're going to do a shortened version where you'll still get some of the highlights like Cambridge and Oxford, and of course the Wesley sites around London. Again, to get people excited about all the destinations we're going to have post over Ammergau. And this also will get into some of those super secret Jubilee plans.
Yeah, super secret Jubilee plans. I need to put you on pause for just a second. Evidently, Jamie is going to be able to go live here in just a second, but wherever he's set up, they're setting up for dinner, for a group dinner. So we need to get him in and out. So let me come back to you in just a second, if you don't mind. We'll go ahead and pop on over to Jamie. He's getting ready to unmute himself and come online here. So we'll be back, everybody. Hang on. We'll be back with Bethany in a minute, but you want to see Jamie, I'm sure. He's a nice guy most of the time. And so, Jamie, are you out there? Are you able to hear me? Okay,
Tom, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir. I can. I can't see you.
Can you see me, Tom?
I haven't had the pleasure of that yet, Jamie. Have you got the video aimed at you or at somebody else?
I do. So,
Okay.
So I can see me on my screen. I can see you on my screen. Now I see us on the big screen.
Now I see you.
You see me now?
I see you.
Okay.
We're so lucky. We see you now, Jamie.
Hey, Bethany, sorry to interrupt you. It's always a joy to interrupt Tom. I do that on a regular basis. Hey, I'm sitting here with Dave Melton. We're at the Dionysius Cafe, really kind of across the street from the Acropolis, which you should be able to see in the background behind us. Half an hour ago, we were standing on top of Mars Hill and the signal strength kept fading in and out. So we had to sprint that. Well, we don't sprint because I don't run. We came down the hill to set up in the cafe to do the webinar. And so we're going to start out real quick. I asked Dave to read a few verses out of Acts chapter 17, which we were going to read with Mars Hill in the background and looking around the Agra and other spots in old Athens.
Those who escorted Paul brought him from Thessalonica and Berea to Athens, and then left Timothy to be in the temple. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jews and Greeks, as well as in the marketplace day by day with those who happened to be there. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is this babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seems to be advocating foreign gods." They said this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. Then they took him and brought him to the meeting of the Areopagus, where they said to him, "May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting?" All the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there spent their time doing nothing but talking about and listening to the latest ideas. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "People of Athens, I see that in every way you are religious. For as I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, I found even an altar with this inscription, 'To an unknown God.'"
Let's pop your head.
Well,
Yes, here.
Tammy, we've lost your sound.
Closer.
Can you hear us now?
Tom, can you guys hear us? You're pivoted to the right.
We can hear you now. Can you hear me now, Jamie?
Do you guys hear us at all?
Yeah, we could hear Don reading.
You could hear Dave reading. Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
going to give him the earphone with the mic back in because we're getting a note that you couldn't hear us. That was the Act 17, and we're Paul is from Mars Hill. So Dave Melton is actually one of our tour hosts with Educational Opportunities. And Dave actually has a long history with Greece and Athens. He's a pastor in the Western North Carolina Conference, been a longtime friend of mine, and I've traveled on several EO trips with him, and great to have him on this pastor's retreat cruise on the Jewel of the Seas. So Dave, I'm going to give you the mic back in a minute. We're going to play swap, okay? But I'd like for you to tell folks quickly about your experience in Greece and about the history that you have here, and particularly Athens and your love affair for this place.
I had the privilege of studying here in undergraduate school as a semester abroad from Davidson College, and spent 6 weeks in Athens. Got to go back to the hotel today that we were in, the Jason, studying Greco-Roman studies and the classics. And I just fell in love with this place, Athens and Greece. So much history, so much culture, the birthplace of, I think, civilization, certainly medicine, philosophy, democracy, and so many of the cultural things that are important to us in the West.
So Dave, when was the last time you were in Athens before today?
I was there again 5 years after graduate school, and years ago, but it's been many, many years since I was here now.
So this is your first time traveling since the pandemic started, what, 17, 18 months ago.
Yeah.
What was it like traveling in the middle of a pandemic that seems to be resurgent right now?
Unusual, but the safety measures are appropriate and not overwhelming, certainly not oppressive. Some things are required. Masks are worn, vaccinated people only on the ship. Social distancing, but we're used to that in the United States, and it hasn't bothered me at all. It's been wonderful, and EO always does a wonderful job.
Thank you. So one of the questions I want to ask, and I want you to share with our tour hosts who are watching, why should a pastor of a church plan a trip to Greece and particularly Athens, and what would it mean to their people?
Oh, there's so much history, and Greece and the Holy Land are the two sites that I believe pastors and church members should visit at least once in their lives. To stand on Mars Hill, where Paul, as a foreigner, outsider, instigator, connected with the Epicureans and Stoics by saying, "I found this small statue to an unknown God. Let me tell you who that is." I can't even describe that or say that without getting chill bumps, because it means so much to me in my faith. The first time I was here, I wasn't a pastor, didn't know I was going to be called to ministry. But since then, I've wanted to return here ever since. Of course, Corinth, Thessalonica, Philippi, Greece has so much to do with the birth of Christianity and its growth. And the baptism of Lydia, first Western evangel or new Christian. There's so much here.
So we've been on a Greek Isles cruise this week, which really, except for the Athens visit, hasn't had much of the significance to the development of Christianity. How about a Greek Isles cruise for folks?
Oh my goodness. I believe that has to be included if a person comes this far, because the islands are part of Greece. Much archaeological finds there, much architecture, sculpture, but each island has a different personality. The food in Greece is as good or better than anywhere. And that, of course, is enjoyable. It's not a not come here, but for followers of Christ, and especially pastors, Athens is a must see. And along with the Holy, I think, are the two most important sites.
So you and I have had over the last couple of days about what's next for Dave Milton as a pastor, but all father as a brother. So what are you thinking about for your next right now?
After that thing for long periods ago, I have to bring my family, my children, and perhaps extend that to other people because I have to share this with them. So many connections to our culture, so much fun, so much beauty, so much good food. That's what I'll be doing.
All right, thank you. Let me take the earpiece back together. I hope you guys Tom.
Yeah, we got that.
Good. Well, it's been a fabulous trip. And again, the ship has been wonderful, about a quarter capacity of passengers on the ship. We visited Rhodes on Sunday, Mykonos yesterday. We're in Santorini tomorrow, and in Crete on Thursday, and then at sea, and then back to Cyprus on Saturday. But wonderful experience. I've had a chance to meet with several of the other EO guests who are traveling with us and to talk about what they're experiencing. And you know, for pastors right now, what it means just to be away in a place where they can relax and experience time with their spouse. Or we have several who have children traveling with them. So it's been a great week.
Great. That's good to hear, Jamie. Glad everything's going well. We're excited.
Any questions?
Looking forward to being gone for a while.
I look forward to being gone until the middle of September, Tom. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Blessings. We're going to jump out of the restaurant now. Thank you.
Okay. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
See you later,
Bye.
guys. So, okay, folks, we're going back to Bethany in the studio. I sound like an ESPN guy, right? Back to Bethany in the studio. So, okay, Bethany, let's take back up where we are a bit ago.
Okay, well, very appropriately, the next thing we were going to talk about is our plans to offer another Greece as well as another Turkey fam. So as you can see from what we just heard from Jamie, there's lots of good reasons to travel to Greece. It's absolutely gorgeous, the wonderful food, all of the sights, and really getting to take time to study Paul and his impact there. Personally, having been to Greece a few times myself, you can't do too much of a better trip. Although I do have to say I'm a little more partial to our next spot, which is Turkey. So I got the opportunity, after having visited Turkey on several cruises, to finally get and go and actually experience it on land this past May. So we did a familiarization trip with a few of our DTMs and then some of our staff here from the office. And it was an absolutely phenomenal experience, from getting to go see Cappadocia to spending time in Istanbul, to getting to go out to the coast to see Ephesus and Pergamum and some of the churches of the Revelation. So it was just a really, really wonderful opportunity. They took such good care of us in Turkey. They were so excited for us to be there. The food was wonderful. I know when a lot of people think of Turkey, they don't think of it as much of a vacation destination. So, you know, maybe they think the hotels are just okay, but I mean, the hotels are absolutely gorgeous that our operators and our friends over there are using for these trips that they've planned for us. Every bit as nice as the olive tree in Jerusalem for those of you that have traveled to Israel with us. I really just can't say enough. I really, really enjoyed Turkey, and a shout out to Chris Brown and Claudia Erickson and Dan Johnson, who got to travel with us in May. So I'm really looking forward to announcing those FAMs a little bit later, probably later in September. Those should be open for next year.
Great. Well, we didn't have a chance to ask Jamie about the fires in Greece, and I apologize. That's one of the I just saw that. I'm sorry, Bethany, it just came up here, and I don't think it's damaged any of the
No, no, it really hasn't damaged any of the historical sites because I talk to the operators pretty frequently and our friends over there. So they're all safe. Athens has been relatively safe. A lot of the islands that were hit were the smaller ones. So, Patmos did okay. There was no damage to the monastery or the cave or anything there. And Crete, they did an excellent job of preserving most of the historical sites. So from everything we've heard, everything's back open now. And there's been no major damage to a lot of the tourist sites and places that we would go and visit.
Okay, great. That's good to hear. So, Bethany, the FAMs that you're talking about for 22, I mean, golly, those are great. And I fall back into EO lingo. It's really amazing how quickly you can get into that, isn't it? That talking about FAMs, I mean the familiarization tours, but that just helps us, I guess, have our EO speak going, sort of like having church speak. We have EO speak, but our familiarization tours, and the purpose of those is to allow our tour hosts and folks to go right and then take groups back with them later. Correct?
Absolutely. So, we came back from the Turkey Fam and we started thinking about new itineraries, and there's some really unique ones we've already got for 2022. And, we think about ways to improve them for you guys. So even when we get to have the opportunity to travel with you and actually see how our tour hosts and how our guests and stuff respond, like, we absolutely so enjoy that. So they're very meaningful for us. And it was wonderful to share time, and really incredible to hear devotions from our different DTMs and the pastors that were with us each day at the different sites. So even just going on a familiarization tour as a host and just meeting other hosts and other DTMs and spending that time with like-minded people that are in similar situations with you, praying and actually worshiping in some of these sites and sharing devotionals, it's really impacting. And then I've seen so many of them then take that back to their churches and be like, okay, now I want to share that with my congregation. Or, if they're not a pastor, I want to talk to my pastor about how he needs to take the church. And so we can have this experience together as a community.
Great. Well, Bethany, thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate all your insights and look forward to being able to share in the next few weeks some of the really cool things you're working on. And when people see those pop up, I'm sure they're going to think of, wow, Bethany put some work in on this, and other folks behind the scene who are going to make that possible. So we really appreciate all that you do and the leadership that you provide and the vision that you have for ministry for EO. Thank you for that. So thanks for being with us, Bethany.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And now we're going to do some travel updates for you in just a second, everyone. But before we get there, we got a little gift for you here that we want to share with you. Earlier this year, my wife, Kathy, got to make her bucket list trip to Egypt. That's one she's been wanting to do for many, many years. It was our first trip there. It was awesome. And so John and Shelby have put together a video piece for us to watch, and we're going to be able to make it available to you as you prepare to recruit folks to visit Egypt later. I'm always telling pastors, and I talk to them about how that EO wants to partner with pastors and churches in making disciples, that Christian travel is the most underutilized tool in a pastor's disciple-making toolbox, because people's understanding of the Bible is dramatically changed by travel. So I think this video will give you a glimpse of why Egypt is such an important addition to include in your journeys for biblical understanding. So Shelby, would you play the video for us, please?
Well, I'm Isam Zaid. I'm Egyptologist tour guide. That I was born and raised in Egypt, except just a few years here in the States in Illinois. I've been working as a tour guide for almost 30 years. And most of my work as a tour guide for most of those years, it was with educational opportunities, which is mainly focusing on the faith travel and the people of God, as we always say about them. That made me to dig deep in the travel business and to start to dig for Egypt as a part of the Holy Land. It took me like a few years until I found the link between the land and the book. Since then, this is when I have started and decided actually to work as a biblical tour guide in Egypt, which is very few of the tour guides in Egypt who can work as a biblical tour guide, who know how to link the land, which is Egypt, to the book, which is the Old Testament mainly. Because if we read the book of the Old Testament, we'll find that most of it happens in Egypt. So from this point, this is when it started to make me and take me to the point of being focused in the faith travel business. So when people wanted to really go and started to know about their faith, they have to start from the beginning. And that beginning is in Egypt. So they have to dig and start to go to see how their faith started. When we're talking about the faith of Christianity, it's all started in Egypt. So when the people go to Egypt, they will walk in the same place where Abraham was, Moses, Joseph, Jacob, even Jesus Christ.
I think as a tour group, when we think of we think of the biblical Holy Lands, and we don't think about Egypt. I think we've done a disservice there. It was like an aha moment that shouldn't have been to think that Jesus was there at the pyramids when he was a child, that these were there, and to tie that all together and to realize how much as Christians we have gotten from the Egyptian culture and that passed through, and that's our history, and that we need to advertise that more.
The Grand Egyptian Museum, as we call it, the gem, which is, it's really a gem, stands for Grand Egyptian Museum. The theme about this museum, it's going to be mainly for the young king, King Tut. They're going to start to move all the artifacts of King Tut, and for the first time ever, since they found the tomb of King Tut back in November 1922, for the very first time ever that they're going to display all what they have found in this tomb, which is close to 5,640 masterpieces, for the very first time ever. As the Grand Egyptian Museum is going to contain every part of the Egyptian history. And the great part of this Egyptian history, it was related to the Old Testament. So we'll be taking groups to the places which we will tell them about the art and how this art was in the time of the Old Testament. As we all know that Egypt is a land of Bible as well. Nile cruise in Egypt, this is something that I highly recommend it to everyone to come to Egypt. It's a little bit more to pay for, but it's really worth every penny you pay for, because it's a relaxing, it's an educational. You go through the history. You sail in the Nile, you feel like in a plateau, but in every single site you visit, it has something to be related to the Old Testament as well. People come to Egypt that they don't understand the meaning of how Egypt is a part of the Holy Land. When we take them to the sites and we tell them how is this land that has been mentioned in the Old Testament, they get shocked, because they never think that this is the land of the Bible or the land of the Holy Land as well. They only thought that only Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Jericho are the Holy Land. But when they come to Egypt and they found that they are inside a place that is completely mentioned in the Old Testament, that is like a great, important impact for them, that every one of them, they started to say, yes, we are in a Holy Land. We are not just in the land of history.
Just like my first trip to the Holy Land, I remember going back with an excitement to reread the New Testament, and it just became living color to me. Well, that's what this trip to Egypt has done in regards to the Old Testament. So now it's incited, it's spurred a passion and excitement to go back and reread the Old Testament with the context of Egypt and its lands and its history.
We serve a God who takes what is happening in a particular time in history, and he uses that for his glory. And so we saw temples that were very much similar to the tabernacle and to temples later on. We got to experience a ritual within the ancient Egyptian culture that tied into the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, God uses what's happening in history to be able to communicate to his people. Our guide, Isam, was incredible about helping us really see that Egypt has an integral part, plays an integral part in our understanding of our Christian faith as well.
So when you really wanted to know your faith, you have to know it completely. And this picture is not going to be completed until you visit Egypt. So it's a very important to come to Egypt, not as a tourist, as a pilgrim, to complete your pilgrimage in Egypt.
Oh, great. Thank you, John, Shelby, Creative Services, all you who worked on that. That's a great, Sam, thank you if you're listening out there this morning, because that did a great job. And, you know, Sam and Osama that we had as our guide when we were there, both marvelous guides, and will just make that land come alive for you in so many ways. We do have our Splendors of Egypt trip that's traveling both in February and in November in 2022. If you are interested in going, I think Shelby and John are throwing it up on the screen now. It has a Nile River cruise included that Sam mentioned there. It's outstanding. I mean, you need to get on this one if you can. It's a great trip. Continuing to build on our biblical understanding journeys, as I mentioned earlier, we have several of those coming up. We have several to Turkey that will be happening in 2022. Ben Witherington is going to be our guest speaker on the Cradle of Christianity tour in July. If you've ever met Ben, you know he's a great New Testament scholar. I've traveled with Ben and his wife, Ann, and they are just super traveling companions. You'll enjoy just their conversations back and forth that you used to have with them, and stand in awe of his knowledge at times there that he just dazzles you with it. So I assure you that you'll come away from Turkey seeing it in an entirely new light there and its connection. Then we have the Journeys of Paul in Turkey tour, departure dates in April and November of 2022 that you'll want to check out. Very popular tour is our 7 Churches of the Revelation in Patmos, May and October departure dates on that trip. Patmos is just off the coast of Turkey, so we're excited to include it. It has a short cruise that's included because you have to get out to Patmos, and then you'll go over to Santorini, Greece. I think, Shelby, that's the next slide. Maybe if you'll pop that one up there real quickly. There you go for that one. So that's in May and October of 2022. And then finally, we have one, if you want to do them both together, Turkey and Greece, we have the Journeys of Paul in Turkey and Greece that if you've already paid the airfare to get to one, why not just do both, right? So that's in May and October also of 2022. So lots of options for you there. And I think you'll enjoy each and every one of them. So if you need information, reach out to your tour host advisor, to myself or anybody there at the office, and we'll be able to give you more information about when to do that. Now is a moment I would normally transfer you over to James. I'll let James give you our travel update. James is not able to be with us today, and obviously I'm not James, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night just for this purpose, so I would have some knowledge and information. So here's your travel update. Situation in Israel seems to be improving quickly. More than 2 million people have already had their 3rd dose of the vaccine. I was reading just a little bit ago from an update there. So this is changing the landscape over there very quickly. There are even medical people there now who are saying that they should open back up for tourism. So we're beginning to see that begin to unfold, and hoping that there's going to be some kind of announcement. More and more likely that it's going to be open for tourism in early October. We don't know anything yet. We haven't heard an official announcement, so we're not going to cut off anything or any dates yet. But to be honest, we just don't know for certain when to expect that. There's so many holidays there in the month of September this year that it's complicating when any official statement will be forthcoming, because they have to, work when that they're working. And it's another Yogi Berra-ism, right? So I'm getting pretty good with those today. They've taken the quarantine requirement off for Israelis traveling to moderate or low risk countries when they return, as long as they're vaccinated. So that's a great sign. That's great news. Sends us a strong signal that they are being very confident that things are changing there. Schools in Israel will reopen tomorrow, which was their normal reopening date. So they're on schedule. So that's another strong indicator that they're concluding that things are under control there. I was talking to a host yesterday and shared with me and said what I've heard so many times before. Said, well, you know, Tom, my folks are nervous about COVID there, and I just need to remind everyone that COVID numbers there are much better than they are here. You're much more likely to be infected by someone here than someone there. We're way behind the roll on that one. So just be aware of that. Israel's probably been the most aggressive country in the world at dealing with this, and they've been extremely successful. It looks like, in fact, that probably, according to what we're hearing, that the U.S. is going to very likely follow the Israeli model on giving out the booster shots, since they've been so successful there. So things are really looking up. We hope to have some sort of official update so we can tell you all who've been so faithful and who are waiting so anxiously for us to be able to make your journey possible. So trust me, you'll know as soon as we know. We will be reaching out to you as soon as we have some official words. So stay tuned for that. One of the things that popped up on the chat line, it was about EU and the vaccinations and all that stuff. So let me just clarify for you there. Currently, the EU has removed the US from its safe list of countries. Now, there's been things that have been going around that says that Americans are now banned from visiting Europe. That's not the case. The European Council has made a recommendation urging member countries to issue travel restrictions for US visitors who are unvaccinated. However, it's up to each country to decide if it wants to issue new requirements or not. Many or some of the countries have recently issued updates, so we really don't anticipate a lot of changes. Greece, I know one specific question came up about Greece. Greece is not requiring a vaccine right now. However, if you are unvaccinated, Greece is requiring a negative COVID test within 48 hours before entering certain places. So basically, if you are unvaccinated and you are one of our trips, we're trying to change the schedules to how that go. You can still go on the trip, but you are going to have to be able to present a negative COVID test. So we're trying to figure out how to arrange the itineraries to lessen the numbers, because if we went just as they are laid out, it would mean that we need a COVID test every 48 hours or so. So we're trying to figure that out. So, and be able to provide help people's trips go as smoothly as possible. So we're going forward with that. I see something popped up about Oberammergau, and Germany has not changed their stance on that. So you can look at eoupdates.com. That'll give you the latest on everything that we have with that. In fact, about Oberammergau, we have our next webinar is going to be on Oberammergau on the 16th of September. We're going to cover Oberammergau and talk about that. We have about 30 people heading to Oberammergau next week. Jamie, that you just saw a bit ago, is going to leave Athens and the trips that he's on there and meet the group in Oberammergau. So he's going to be there. So James will be there, and as other people are gathering there. So we'll be able to share directly next week, our next webinar on the 16th, about their experience from there and what happened there. So that's where we are for today. We really appreciate all of you being with us, and thank you for your time, your faithfulness, all your interest and your support and prayers as we go forward. Remember our friends down in Louisiana and others who have been hit by these storms, our friends in Greece that have been affected by the fires, and folks out west in the U.S. who are still battling their own problems with fires out there. So lots of things to pray for, folks, and we encourage you to join with us on that. So we appreciate your time. Look forward to talking to you again real soon. So be blessed out there, be safe, and go in peace.